Hello. Hi. How's everybody doing today? Hello. This is Kids Art Lab Vincent van Gogh. So we are recording this live. My name is Ms. Alex and I work for the St. Johns County Public Library System. The next couple of minutes are just going to be for everybody to join, get to the stream, make sure everything's going okay. So we'll just wait for people to start joining before we get started. Let's make sure everything is going okay on the techie side. How is everybody doing today? Good, I hope. What have you all been up to today? You might notice where I'm recording from is a little bit different today. There we go. Okay, it does look like everything is going well. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope so. Let's see. There we go. Feel free to chime in if you'd like to say hi. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Edwina and Beverly. Oh, yes. Hello. Wonderful. Okay. I think I've got everything set up. Hello. Welcome. Go ahead and chime in. Leave your name in the comments and I'll say hello as we go along. If you would like, you can share this stream if you have any friends or family members who would like to do this class along with you while you're doing it or after the fact. We would love that. The more the merrier. So, let's see. Awesome! We have some more people joining. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Are you ready to do some art? I am. Really looking forward to some art therapy today. Art can definitely help us when we're feeling sad or upset or just unhappy. Art is a good way to work through some of our feelings and get us feeling better. Do you guys ever do that? Or when you feel like you just have, you have so much energy, like especially today. Like on a rainy day, you can't go outside, you can't run around. Art is a really good thing to focus all of those energies on. For me, anyway. What do you guys like to do when you're feeling that way? Cool. All right, we have a couple more minutes. If you'd like, chime in the comments. Make comments as we go along. Tell me what you think about what we're talking about, because I really love that part of these classes, of these art classes. I like hearing your impressions and your thoughts on all of the art we're going to be looking at. It's much more interesting than what I think about it anyway. I like hearing from you guys. So, the materials we're going to be using today, super basic. We're just going to be using some paper. You can use a pencil to sketch out what you're going to be drawing, and then any kind of paint. One special material today that we are going to be using that I know for a fact you do have in your house is a... What's this? Have you ever made art with this before? With a fork? It's a little weird, right? Not a traditional utensil for art. For eating, sure. But it's not normally a tool that we use when we're making art, huh? So go ahead, find yourself a fork to use once we start painting. This is going to give our painting some really cool texture and effects, and you'll see why we're going to be using it in just a little while once we start talking about our artist today. All right, awesome. Okay, I think we are ready to go. So welcome, everybody. Hello. If you're just joining us, my name is Ms. Alex, and normally I work at the Southeast Library for the St. Johns County Public Library System. However, right now I am still working from home, so I am in one of my little boys' bedrooms right now because it's raining outside. So I'm going to teach you all about Vincent van Gogh today. So let's go ahead and get started. Wonderful. So welcome, everybody. And if you all are doing our Read Squared online summer reading program this summer, which you should, it's amazing. We're trying to get to 1 million minutes read as a community. If you're doing that and you would like to count this class toward that, your secret code for today is, whoops, it will come up in the comments as well, but your secret code for today is Kids Art 01. Kids Art 01. And we'll do that again in just a little while too. So let's get started talking about Vincent van Gogh. Cool. All right, today you will need, if you're going to do the artwork along with me, some paper, doesn't matter what kind, any kind of paper, whatever paint you happen to have at home. I'm going to be using acrylic specifically today, but you can use whatever paint you have. Paintbrushes, of course, and forks, and I am going to use a pencil just to sketch out my drawing so I have a good idea of what I'm doing, but that's not necessary if you don't want to sketch it out beforehand. So we do have some more people joining us. Hello. If you would like, you can type your name into the comments, say hello. I would love to greet you. Please let me know what you think as we're going along too, okay? Okay, Vincent van Gogh. My text got a little funny there. This is one of his self-portraits. Now, do you guys remember what self-portrait means? Absolutely. It's a portrait that he did himself. So the artist himself painted that one. He was born in 1853 and he passed away in 1890. And now, so we have a sense of where we're talking globally. Over here on the left-hand side is Florida. That's where we live, right? And then we go all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. Right there, that country that's outlined in red, that is the Netherlands, right there by Germany. And that is where Vincent van Gogh was born. He did end up moving to France. So if you see France a little bit south there of the Netherlands, he moved to the very southern end of France. And that's where he lived until he passed away. Here we go. The Netherlands, they're at the top by Belgium and by Germany. And he traveled and lived in Paris for a couple of years. Then went even further south and lived in Arles, France, and we'll learn some more in just a little while. Okay, so in the Netherlands, that house right there in the middle was where Vincent was first born, and lived there along with all of his siblings, of which there were many. He was born March 30th, 1853 in Zundert, the Netherlands, and he was the oldest of 6 kids. 6 kids. That's a big, at least to me, that's a big family. That must have been so much fun. But he was the very oldest, and he was pretty quiet as a kid. He liked to wander around, read, look at things. So maybe he knew from a young age, maybe a little unconsciously, that he was going to be some sort of artist. He was trained as a young man as an art dealer by his uncle. However, he decided he didn't want to continue with that after a couple of years, and he turned to religion instead. He did some missionary work in Belgium, but eventually that didn't work out either, and at that point he wasn't sure what he wanted to do, what he should do. So he didn't decide to become a serious artist until he was already an adult. So in 1880 is when he decided to become an artist and pursue that seriously. And his brother, Theo, it actually is the one who supported him. He gave Vincent money so that he could be an artist and pursue that passion. And the photo right there on the right-hand side is Vincent at only 19 years old. He looks really, really young there. Okay. Unfortunately, Vincent struggled with mental health throughout his life. He struggled with depression. He was really, really sad, and had a lot of things he was trying to work through, but painting did help him. In the last 10 years of his life, he created more than 800 oil paintings and over 700 drawings. So that period was really the busiest and most productive of his whole life. Can you imagine doing that many paintings in 10 years? However, as famous as he is now, he only sold one painting during his lifetime. Just one. He wasn't famous when he was alive, unfortunately. And he died very, very young. He was only 37 years old when he died. And he wasn't famous, he was poor, and he was very, very lonely, unfortunately. After he died, though, people started noticing his paintings. And with every year and every decade that passed, he got more and more and more famous. And now his paintings are some of the most expensive in the world. They've sold for more than almost any other painting. That's crazy. And on the right-hand side, you can see here, this is another self-portrait that he did in 1887. He's got his hat and his jacket on, and look at those brush strokes. That doesn't look like most paintings you've seen, does it? It's very distinctive and very Van Gogh. Okay, so 1885. Vincent has been at art for a couple of years at this point. So 1880 is when he picked it up. He started studying. He realized that just teaching himself wasn't going to do quite as much as he hoped, so he started seeking out teachers. He moves around, he goes to Paris. Wonderful. Okay, just checking in with the comments that are there. You guys are doing great. Hi, Rhoda, hello. Awesome. He started meeting other artists in different cities, especially in Paris, and started studying under them so that he could become a better artist. But in 1885, Vincent created this painting, The Potato Eaters. Now, when you tell someone Vincent van Gogh, most people won't think of this kind of style. This is really, really dark, isn't it? If we look very closely, there isn't a big variation in colors at all. And the brush strokes and the technique that's shown here doesn't really look like what we think of when we think Van Gogh. But this is an oil on canvas, oil paint on a canvas, and he intentionally, so on purpose, he chose a very difficult composition. That means how the painting is made up. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people in this, and there are multiple layers to this painting too. You've got the background with the windows in the back, there are the beams on top, we have the people at different places in the foreground as well. And he wanted to portray the harsh reality of country life. A lot of art before this focused on more wealthy subjects or more idealized situations. So he wanted to show what regular poor people experienced and paint that. Now, looking at this and knowing what critics said in the past, at the time they said that this painting was full of mistakes. It was not perfect, or how art was done at the time. So a lot of people didn't like that. And because of reviews of his art at this point and before this, there are not a whole lot of examples of what Vincent created. He destroyed a lot of his artwork before this, which is sad. We can't look back and see those things now. Okay, Sunflowers, 1888. This is one of his most famous paintings, and it has one of his favorite colors, yellow. This was a series of 5 paintings, all different views of sunflowers, and it primarily uses 3 different shades of yellow. So Vincent wanted to show that you can create a masterpiece with only different variations of a shade. So take just a basic yellow and change it up and create something beautiful just from that simple paint. What do you guys think of this one? Do you like how there's a variation in the flowers? They're not perfect. There are some petals that have fallen off. They're pointing all sorts of different ways. We've got some really, really strong, like fast and bold brush strokes in this one. What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share them as we go along, okay? This one is called The Harvest from 1888, and this was painted on a summer day in Arles, France. So at this point, he was already living in the south of France. Moving to the south and being surrounded by this kind of beauty and this kind of landscape inspired Vincent. It made him want to paint more. So these 2 years, 1888 and 1889, were his most productive out of all of his time as an artist. So he painted en plein air. Do you guys remember that from one of our previous classes? Let me see. Oh, a light. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Teresa. But can you imagine being surrounded by this kind of landscape in the sun, the grass, the breeze, and how inspired you might be? So in just 1 week, for example, he painted 10 paintings and drew 5 different drawings. And he wanted to show here workers of the land. So if you remember from a few years ago, 1885, when he did the potato eaters, so this is a recurring theme in his work. He wants to show the plight of the everyday person, and painted this en plein air, or outside. So he would spend hours and hours standing in the sun creating something like this. Now let's take a closer look at this. What do you think? What do you see? See a lot of variation in color. We've got that blue sky in the back. We've got some hills, lots of fields. He did a variety of paintings of these fields as well at different points in the harvest. And again, we can see those really, really strong brush strokes represented here. Okay, arguably his most famous painting ever, the Starry Night from 1889. This is, of course, again, oil on canvas, and was inspired by the view outside of his window when he was in an asylum. So Vincent wasn't exactly physically sick, but he battled depression for a lot of his life, and he would go to what's called an asylum then to get help and live there and try to get better. So when he looked outside his window, he saw views like this and put them together into this painting. And it's an exaggeration, he said, an exaggeration of the night sky. Because when we look outside, we don't see this view exactly, do we? When we see the dark sky, we see some stars. Sometimes we see maybe an airplane with some lights going by, that kind of thing. But he wanted to show an exaggeration and swirling movement up in the sky. You can see the wind. Instead of just hearing it or feeling it, you can see it up in the sky. You can see all that light emanating from the stars and from the moon in the right-hand side. For using those really, really quick and bold brush strokes, he creates that movement with his paint. So it's not just a stationary, or it's not just paint flat on a canvas. You can see that movement and imagine his hand taking the paintbrush and moving the paint around. I think that's amazing how he was able to capture that, don't you? And then we've got the village below, nestled in cozy at night, and that tree on the left-hand side. What do you guys think of the Starry Night? Do you like it? How would you have done this painting? I can't wait to read your responses, okay? Let me see, check in. Wonderful. So I wanted to give you an example of how big the Starry Night is, because for how famous it is, originally I thought it was going to be this big painting. But no, you can see it right there, almost in the center of this photo, on the left-hand side of that wall back there. That is the Starry Night. It is currently in an exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art. The exhibit is called 19th Century Innovators, so it has a variety of 19th century or 1800s artists, and it is currently on exhibit through October 25th of next year. So if you happen to go and visit the MoMA, you can see this painting there. And something I love about their website specifically, the Museum of Modern Art, is that you can look up paintings and then see pictures like this. Even from years back, I was able to see pictures of Starry Night in an exhibit from the 1940s. So cool. So highly recommend checking out the Museum of Modern Art website if you have not had a chance to. It's a treat, seriously. Okay, so Vincent, when he was talking about portraits, he said that they were the only thing in painting that moves me deeply. Wow, the only thing in painting that moves him deeply. Can you imagine? So he really enjoyed painting people. He painted a ton of self-portraits even. 36 different self-portraits that we know of. And this was one of his last ones that was painted in 1889. It was called Self-Portrait Autumn. And if we're looking closely at Vincent here, he doesn't look exactly healthy. This was painted after a period of isolation. He was by himself by choice for a very, very long time. And he did this one in a single sitting. So he did the entire painting in one sitting. Something clicked, and he just got it all out on canvas. So he used some highly contrasting colors in this. We've got the blue, we've got white, we've got that like red hair, and his skin has a little bit of like a green tint to it. He doesn't look very healthy. He painted himself with his painter's tools because those are what identified him. He's got his palette, he's got his paintbrushes, his painter's smock, all of that together. And I really like how his background for a lot of his portraits are like this, and it looks like it's moving almost with all of those brush strokes in different directions behind him. What do you think of it? Awesome. Okay, so for more information, the library has an amazing database that's called Kids Info Bits. You can get it at our website and then by going to eLibrary. And it's called Kids Info Bits under Gale in Context, and it has some awesome resources if you're looking up anyone or any topic really, and specifically geared toward elementary students. So I went ahead and looked up Vincent van Gogh on here. He was a post-Impressionist and, has some great information, some quick facts there. News, magazines, biographies, all sorts of really great information there that you can access from home 24/7 with your library card. So that brings us to art time. So we're going to make a recreation of Starry Night, but your own version. And we're going to use forks to give it some neat texture and kind of get that idea of movement in our paintings, okay? We're going to have to load our paper with paint and then use the forks to move the paint around. So I will demonstrate in just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and switch over quick to me. Hello, hello, hello. So are you guys ready? Are you going to paint along with me, or are you going to paint later? Either way, please, please, please take a picture of your painting. Send it to the library, tag us, Facebook, Instagram. We would love to see what you're working on. Oh my goodness. Oh yay, your great niece who's 11 will love that. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. Yay. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this down so that you guys can see my paper, okay? Ooh. Okay, awesome. So here we are. I've already gone ahead and sketched out a little bit of my design, but I suggest that first you decide where your horizon line is going to be. So that's why I painted this, or excuse me, sketched this line right across the bottom of my paper, right here, because that shows me where my horizon is. So above the horizon here, all of this is going to be the sky and up. And down here below is going to be the ground. So I'm going to have my village, I'm going to have the water, my tree coming up from there. All of that will be down here. And I'm leaving the majority of my paper open to showcase that brilliant starry night up here, okay? I'm gonna go over my line for my tree because that goes way up high into the sky. It kind of breaks up the horizon line there. So if you guys want to sketch out your tree, here we go. It doesn't have to look like mine. You can do your tree however you would like. And when I was looking at that painting, Starry Night, I noticed that the only building that really came up into the sky was the top of a church. So I created the roof and the top of my church there. I also sketched out where I want my wind to be. So that's going to be here. And I've got those lines to show the movement. I've got another one right here, whoosh, that goes across. My moon over here. Let me know if you guys are having trouble seeing that, and I'll try to make it a little bit darker, but I think everything's going okay. And then, of course, we have to add in our stars, too. Let's see. Put another one up here. And there was some more wind that was going right across the middle of the page here. Okay, I think that's a pretty good blueprint to lead me when I get started. Okay, now I went ahead and I already took care of my palette. I only used a couple of colors here. I started with black. I mixed blue and black to get a dark blue. This is blue straight from the bottle. I mixed blue and white to create a light blue. White straight from the bottle. Yellow. A little teeny bit of green that I'm going to add in there too, okay? All right. I'm gonna get started with my tree. So I've got a nice thick paintbrush that I'm using here. And I'm gonna load this up. Load it up means to put a lot of paint on there. And I'm going to cover up this tree. There we go. So since we're going to go back in after the fact and add some texture and move around our paint, we want it to be nice and thick on our paper, okay? There we go. And we don't have to exactly follow what we sketched out. That's just to give us a good idea of what we're doing, okay? So remember, we're using quick and bold brush strokes. Nice and bold. It's okay if it looks messy. There we go. Lovely. Do you guys like to listen to anything when you make art? Do you listen to music or have some favorite songs that you enjoy? I like to go outside sometimes when I'm painting. Being outside is just inspiring for me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my fork and I'm going to kind of just like you're scratching at the painting, okay? Like we're scratching. And you can take one end of the fork. Nice. But notice that it's only scratching where I really layered that paint on. There we go. That gives a good effect, good texture. All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start on my sky. So I'm going to start, I've got another nice thick brush, and I'm going to start with my darkest blue, and then I'm going to layer my other colors on top of it, okay? I'm going to start with that dark blue that I created using the black and the blue. And here we go. I'm going to start by going around some of these forms that I've created. I'm going to watch out for those stars because I'm going to come back in and do those. I'm going to go all around and kind of fill in my sky here. I'm and follow the wind that I already created. There we go. Remember, nice and thick. I don't often tell you to put your paint on thick. That generally can take a really long time to dry, but for what we're doing today, we kind of need it that way. Okay, I'm gonna go around, and it's okay if it looks really, really messy at this point. I'm gonna grab a little bit of black on there too, and mix that through as well. Add some here. Okay. And now real quick before it dries, I'm gonna grab that fork again and start following where I painted. Okay. Now, clean off one of my brushes real quick. How are you guys doing? You think you can do this? I know you can. Definitely. Now I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to start following these swirls, okay? That I created earlier. Load it up with a good amount of paint and then swirl, and that's going to go all the way across here too. Swirl it right on through. Because we're going to layer it, we'll see it starting to take shape. Okay, bring out my fork again. Here we go. And then again over here. With that movement going through the sky. Nice. All right. And then I'm now going to take some of the light blue that I made and go over some of it. Some nice, strong strokes. There we go. Swirl, 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 scratch, scratch, scratch. Now, I'm gonna take some of that blue and add a good bit of white because there was some wind that I saw that moved down through this end of the painting. And I want this gust of wind to really stand out. We're gonna mix some of these colors that are here. So we want everything to swirl together. Here we go. Do you feel that wind? Here we go. We're gonna scratch, 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 scratch. Nice. Scratch, 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 scratch. All right, wonderful. I'm even going to add a little bit of it to these. I'll drag right there over that tree. Okay, I think it's time to start working on our stars, don't you? Yes, I'm going to dip, dip, dip right there in my yellow. And I'm going to do my moon first. I'm going to be a little bit more detailed here. So I want this moon to stand out. And I'm going to do the same with my stars. Right there. Have another one back here. Cool. Now look at me. I am definitely not a professional artist. And that's okay. That is totally okay. I just love the process of creating art. I like how it makes me feel. And I really, really like the joy that it brings me too. Does it make you happy to make art like this? Okay. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to circle my moon and my stars with it. I'm going to add in a little bit more yellow to that too, so that you can see the light reflecting and the energy coming off of these. Here we go. Great. So I put white on one side of the brush and a little bit of yellow on the other side of my foam brush so that I can just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So that doesn't give it a whole lot of time to dry in between, you know? So we can still have that cool effect of the colors swirling together. You can do that same thing over here. Go around and around that star. The white and yellow. Because those are really going to make this stand out. There we go, because we're just getting, remember, an exaggeration of the sky itself. All right, I'm going to go back in now after I clean off one of my brushes here off camera. And I'm going to take a little bit of my dark blue and fill in some of those gaps around my stars. Here we go. So that it's a little darker around there. I just wanted to give myself plenty of space. Nice. Here we go. How are your paintings looking? Are you painting as we're going along here? Or are you going to paint after the fact? Either way, totally okay. Mix in some of these colors some more. Nice. I just love all of the blues that he used. So just like when he created the paintings with the sunflowers, a lot of the same blues are used and blended together in Starry Night. Okay, bring back my fork and do some more scratching. Kind of follow those brush strokes along. Do the same thing around my moon and my stars. Now, I'm using acrylic paint, so I like to go back in and do a couple of layers just to cover everything up, because you can still see a lot of my pencil marks showing through here. There we go. But for now, I am pretty happy with how that's shaping up. Now we are almost out of time, so guys, I want you on your own to sketch in a bunch of houses down here. Okay? We can sketch in a couple together. We've got our houses with their little roofs. I'm doing this upside down, so it's a little funny looking. But you're just going to fill in a whole bunch of little houses down here, and you can add a little bit more color here We can do an ocean over here, some trees over here. But this is our general interpretation, our own version of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. Thank you all so much for joining me today and creating some art with me. I really enjoyed it, and I love connecting with you guys this way through Facebook Live. Again, if you're doing our online summer reading program, the secret code for today is KidsArt01. That's also in the comments below if you need it. If you haven't checked out Read Squared with our online summer reading program yet, I highly recommend you do so. You can win some prizes and keep track of your reading and help us get to 1 million minutes this summer, okay? All right, you guys have a lovely, lovely afternoon. Please be sure if you make some art, if you're inspired by this, you make your own, please take some pictures and share them with us. We would love to see. All right, bye guys. I'll see you again soon.